The peaceful years Earth had always been a peaceful place for centuries. Humanity had lived in harmony, untouched by the troubles of the cosmos. While the stars above twinkled with the lights of countless other civilizations, Earth remained isolated, its people unaware of the vast galactic wars that raged just beyond their reach. The galaxy had its wars, its battles, and its ancient rivalries, but Earth stayed safe. Far away from the conflict. Life on Earth was simple. People went about their daily lives, raising families, building cities, and exploring the world around them. The world's leaders had long agreed that Earth would not interfere with any outside conflicts. They didn't want to get involved in the disputes of alien races that they knew little about. They had enough to deal with on their own: climate changes, political unrest, and social issues. But as far as they were concerned, the galaxy could continue its wars and Earth would stay neutral just as it always had for years. Earth's leaders had believed that they had made the right choice, after all. Why risk Earth's peaceful existence by getting involved in a galactic war that seemed to have nothing to do with them? It was a comforting belief, one that allowed them to sleep soundly at night, knowing that Earth's peaceful bubble would not be shattered by the outside world. People went about their daily lives without worry. The children went to school, the workers went to their jobs, and the scientists explored the mysteries of the Earth. The skies above remained clear, free from the noise of battle fleets or the fear of approaching enemies. Earth's astronauts explored the stars, but they never ventured too far. No one truly believed that Earth was in any real danger. After all, they were safe. They had no enemies, no reason to fear, but that peace, that sense of safety, was not to last. No one knew it yet, but the galaxy was shifting. Forces beyond Earth's understanding were moving, and soon Earth would no longer be able to ignore the war that was tearing apart the galaxy. Humanity had remained neutral for so long, thinking their isolation would protect them, but the universe doesn't work that way. Neutrality is an illusion, a temporary comfort in a galaxy that is constantly changing. It was the year 2035 when the first sign came. At first, it was subtle. A strange signal was intercepted by Earth's space stations. Nothing alarming, just a faint transmission, but it was different. The pattern of the signal didn't match anything Earth scientists had ever encountered. It wasn't just space noise. It wasn't a malfunction or a random anomaly. No. This signal was deliberate, but who sent it and why? Earth scientists were puzzled. The signal wasn't in any known language, nor did it appear to come from any of the usual sources they monitored. It was as if it had been sent from a distant part of space too far for Earth's telescopes to see. The government and military leaders were alerted, but they didn't know what to make of it. It could have been nothing, just another random signal lost in the vastness of space, or it could be something far more serious. Still, life went on. The signal was studied and catalogued, but there was no urgency. The world didn't know. People went about their lives, and the peaceful years continued. Earth remained untouched, insulated from the rest of the galaxy. They didn't realize that while they were enjoying their quiet lives, something was coming, something that would change everything. Then, a month later, the second sign appeared. This time, it was more than just a strange signal. A massive object appeared in the skies, an unidentified craft, visible to everyone on Earth. It was not like anything humanity had ever seen. Its shape was unlike any spaceship they had ever imagined. Its size was incomprehensible, dwarfing anything Earth had ever built. But there was no danger, not yet. It didn't move, and it didn't attack. It just hovered there in space, like a silent watchful eye. For days, the craft remained in orbit, casting a shadow over Earth's cities. It sent no messages, gave no indication of its purpose. People watched in awe and fear, not knowing whether this was a sign of something good or something dangerous. Scientists tried to make contact, but the ship was silent. Military forces were put on high alert, but no orders came. The world waited. The peaceful years, which had seemed so secure, were beginning to feel fragile. As the days passed, theories began to spread. Some thought it was a test, some alien race observing humanity. Others feared the worst, an invasion. The military began to prepare, but they were still unsure of what they were preparing for. The silence of the craft weighed heavily on everyone's mind. Then, it happened. The first message came, not from the ship itself, but from the vastness of space, a warning. Simple and direct: the galactic war is coming to Earth. The word sent a chill through humanity's spine. They had always been safe, they had always been neutral. But now, everything was about to change. The peaceful years were over. Earth's neutrality, which had once seemed so secure, had been shattered. The enemy was coming, and they were no longer just watching from afar. The galaxy's wars were about to knock on Earth's door, and humanity was not ready. Asterisk: the first warning gets started as a whisper, an eerie, almost imperceptible hum in the air. At first, Earth didn't understand it. It wasn't a sound that could be heard. but rather a disturbance, a shift in the very fabric of space. People went about their daily lives, oblivious to the change, but those in power felt it, and those who understood the stars could see that something was wrong. The hum turned into a signal, a strange, encrypted transmission that appeared in the frequencies of Earth's most advanced radio telescopes. It wasn't random noise, but a message, carefully coded. Scientists scrambled to decode it, working day and night to understand the meaning behind the strange set of numbers and symbols. The message was unlike anything humanity had encountered before. It was clear that it didn't belong to any known alien race. This was something new, something that had never crossed their radar. Is it a message from another planet? One of Earth's leading scientists, Dr. Ethan Calloway, asked during a late-night conference call. His voice was heavy with uncertainty. Or is it a warning from who? His question echoed through the room, unanswered, as the world held its breath. The transmission grew stronger, more frequent. It wasn't just a random signal. It was a deliberate call from someone or something out there in the galaxy. A few days later, a breakthrough came. A hidden part of the signal was uncovered. A seemingly unrelated sequence that pointed to one single location in the farthest reaches of space. The coordinates were nearly impossible to reach with Earth's current technology, but that was not the worst part. The coordinates led directly to the heart of an ongoing war, a galactic conflict that had been silently unfolding for centuries, far beyond the galaxy's edge. Earth had been living in ignorance of the war. They had stayed out of it, watched from a distance. But the signal made it clear, the war was no longer an abstract concept, it was real. And it was coming for them. It wasn't until the arrival of a lone ship that Earth truly understood how serious the threat was. The ship, small compared to the vast galactic fleets Earth had read about in old stories, landed on the outskirts of a remote military base. It arrived with no warning, no message, and no fanfare. It just landed, silently, as if it had been expected. Humanity's first encounter with a real alien vessel was met with confusion and fear. This wasn't like the movies, where heroic forces would swoop in to save the day. There was no grand welcome, there was no heroic moment of first contact. This ship was not there for diplomacy, it was there to deliver a grim warning. Inside the ship was a single figure, a tall, humanoid creature with sharp, glowing eyes and skin that shimmered like metal. It was unlike any life form humanity had ever seen, its form both alien and strangely familiar. The creature spoke in a language that was incomprehensible to Earth's translators. But the message it carried was clear, even without words. Through a series of images and gestures, the creature conveyed a simple, chilling truth. The war is coming to your doorstep. You are not neutral anymore. Choose your side. The creature's presence alone was enough to send ripples of panic through Earth's leaders. The peace Earth had taken for granted was now threatened by something much bigger than anything they could have imagined, and it was clear that Earth's neutrality was no longer an option. They were being dragged into a war that wasn't theirs, whether they liked it or not. The governments of Earth, for the first time in centuries, began to unite. Not out of cooperation, but out of fear. How could they defend themselves against an enemy they didn't even understand? And what would happen to their people if the war came to Earth? Would they be wiped out? Or would they fight? But even as the world scrambled to make sense of the warning, strange events began to unfold on Earth. Cities reported sightings of mysterious figures, unidentifiable ships, and strange lights in the skies. Earth's military forces, already on edge, began to mobilize, though they still had no real understanding of what they were facing. For the first time in history, Earth was preparing for a war not of their making. But the worst part was still to come. As the days passed, a new signal arrived. This one was louder, stronger, and more urgent. The message was unmistakable. The invasion has begun. Earth's satellite systems detected massive ships in the outer reaches of the solar system, heading directly towards Earth. These ships were not alone, they were part of a vast fleet, a force unlike anything humanity had ever seen. The signs were everywhere now. Earth's time of peace had come to an end. The war that had been raging across the stars for centuries was now knocking on humanity's door. In a panic, Earth's leaders called for an emergency meeting. Representatives from every nation gathered in a top-secret bunker beneath the Earth's surface. The world's fate now rested in their hands, and the decisions they made in the coming days would determine whether humanity could survive. But no one had the answers. They were outmatched, outnumbered, and unprepared. The enemy had already arrived, and they were far more advanced than anything Earth had ever known. The hope of survival seemed slim, and yet, one question hung in the air. What side would Earth choose? The first warning had come. The enemy was on the way, and Earth had no choice but to fight. Asterisk, the airvolth silence of the night sky was broken by a sound that no one on Earth had ever heard before. It wasn't the hum of engines or the roar of missiles, it was a deep, resonant thrum that seemed to come from everywhere at once, as if the very stars were shaking. It began in the deep reaches of the solar system, where no human craft had ventured in generations. A strange fleet, vast and terrifying, was entering Earth's orbit. For the first time in history, humanity understood the weight of the universe. Earth's once peaceful skies were now filled with shadows, massive, towering warships, their sleek black forms blocking out the stars. The enemy's fleet was unlike anything seen before. Earth's greatest minds had once wondered about alien civilizations, now they were left speechless at the sight of these advanced ships. Their designs too complex for anything Earth had ever imagined. News outlets across the world broadcasted the sight of these ships, each one more imposing than the last. They hovered silently in space, giving no hint of what they intended. The air on Earth was thick with tension. People watched, entranced and terrified, as the giant vessels descended, their massive hulls reflecting the cold light of distant stars. No one knew what to expect. Panic spread like wildfire, sweeping across cities and towns. Governments scrambled to communicate. To make sense of the sudden and terrifying reality, Earth's leaders called an emergency session, while the military moved into high alert. It wasn't just the size of the ships that terrified people, it was the eerie stillness of it all. The alien fleet did not attack. It did not make a single move to harm Earth, but it was there looming, casting an ominous shadow over the planet. A broadcast from the United Nations was transmitted to the world. Trying to calm the public, the leader of the UN addressed the situation in front of thousands of worried faces. "We are not alone in this galaxy," he began. "We will approach this calmly. We have faced challenges before, and we will face this one as well. Our strength lies in unity." But even his voice trembled with uncertainty. The world, united in fear, was holding its breath. Across the globe, protests erupted. Some people believed this was the beginning of Earth's end, while others clung to the hope that these alien visitors came in peace. But that hope was shattered when a transmission was sent from one of the alien ships. Unlike the previous encrypted messages, this one was direct, clear. "We are not here to negotiate." The words sent shockwaves through every corner of Earth. No one had expected this level of hostility. Earth had assumed that the invaders, having come this far, might try to communicate, perhaps form an alliance, a peace treaty, or even negotiate terms. But now, it was clear, this was not a visit of diplomacy the alien fleet had arrived with. One purpose: conquest. With that simple message, Earth's reality was changed forever. In the days that followed, the alien fleet began to descend. Their ships dropped closer to Earth's atmosphere, until they were visible to the naked eye from every corner of the planet. As they descended, they broadcasted another message, one that echoed through every device on Earth: "Your neutrality is an illusion. The war will be here soon. Prepare yourselves." The message was a declaration, a challenge that sent a tremor through Earth's defenses. For all the scientific knowledge Earth had accumulated, it was clear that nothing in their arsenal could match the power of these invaders. The military knew they were outgunned. Earth's satellites, defenses, and technology paled in comparison to what these invaders had brought. Then, without warning, the ships began to land. Each ship seemed to choose a different location on Earth, appearing in cities, deserts, oceans, wherever they chose. Their arrival was marked by an undeniable shift in the air. There was no explosion, no fireball. It was as though the ships simply appeared, as if the fabric of reality had been torn open, allowing these vessels to descend from another world. As each one touched the ground, it seemed to absorb the surroundings, becoming part of Earth's landscape, blending in with the Earth itself. What followed was even stranger. The ships didn't open up in the way humans expected. There were no alien soldiers marching out in full force. Instead, as the ships landed, they began to pulse with energy, sending out waves of electromagnetic radiation that disrupted Earth's electronics. Power grids flickered and failed, communications systems cut out. It was as though the very essence of Earth's technological infrastructure was under attack. The first real contact came soon after. The enemy, those who had been watching Earth for so long, finally made their presence known. They didn't need to speak to communicate. Their arrival spoke for itself. Hundreds of alien figures, dressed in strange armor, emerged from the ships. Their eyes glowed with an eerie light, and their presence radiated authority. They were unlike any creatures Earth had encountered, tall, towering beings with smooth skin that shimmered like polished steel. Their faces were emotionless and cold. Their movements were precise, as though they were machines, their every action calculated. They carried no weapons in their hands, yet their very presence was more powerful than any Earth weapon. The humans who dared approach the landing site were met with an impenetrable silence. And then, one of the beings stepped forward. With a voice that resonated in the minds of all who heard it, it spoke in perfect almost haunting English, "You are no longer neutral. You are now a part of the war. Choose wisely." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. No one knew how to respond. The world was in shock. There was no time for negotiations. Earth had been thrust into a galactic conflict it didn't understand. And the threat had only just begun for the first time. Earth's leaders realized that the galaxy was not a distant dream. It was a nightmare that had just become all too real. Humanity's first strike in the wake of the alien arrival. Panic and confusion swept across the globe. Governments, now faced with the undeniable reality of an incoming invasion, struggled to coordinate a response. Earth's military forces scrambled to position themselves, but they were unprepared for the scale of the threat. The massive alien ships, unscathed and powerful, had landed across the globe, and their mere presence crushed any sense of normalcy. The military, despite its advanced technology, was no match for what stood before them. Earth was facing an enemy unlike any other, a force that didn't care for diplomacy, neutrality, or human weakness. In response, the leaders of Earth came together in an unprecedented emergency meeting. Leaders of all nations, both military and civilian, gathered in a high-tech underground command center hidden deep beneath Earth's surface. The fate of the planet rested in their hands, but they had little to offer in terms of defense. General Claire Hastings, one of Earth's top military strategists, was the first to speak. Her voice was firm, but beneath it there was an undercurrent of fear. "We've analyzed their technology, and it's far beyond anything we've ever seen. Our satellites, our missiles, they won't even scratch them. Our only chance is to unite, all of us, every nation, every resource. We have to fight back, or Earth is lost." But even as she spoke, it was clear that there was no unified plan. The military and the civilian leadership had differing views on how to approach the situation. Some wanted to negotiate, hoping that Earth could still find some kind of common ground with the invaders. Others believed the war was inevitable and that Earth's best chance was to strike first. To show the aliens that humanity would not go down without a fight, the military took action first. The most powerful fighter jets, armed with Earth's most advanced weapons, were deployed. But they were no match for the alien ships. As the jets flew toward the towering alien vessels, they were struck down in a matter of seconds. It wasn't a battle, it was an execution. The aliens didn't even fire back, they simply disabled the jets with a pulse of energy, rendering them useless. But the humans refused to give up. They rallied, knowing that the only way to survive was to keep fighting, even if it seemed hopeless. In a last-ditch effort, the military launched their most powerful weapon, an experimental missile that had been in development for years. It was their final card, their last chance at victory. If it worked, it could break through the alien shields. If it failed, humanity would have no more tricks up its sleeve. The missile was launched with a roar, its trajectory aimed directly at the largest of the alien ships. As it soared into space, humanity watched in silence, praying for a miracle. But the miracle never came. The missile struck the alien ship with a violent explosion, one that should have been enough to shatter any defense. However, to Earth's horror, the ship didn't budge. The alien vessel absorbed the energy from the missile as if it were nothing more than a minor disturbance, its shields glowing briefly before returning to their original state. The missile had failed. Earth's greatest weapon had been rendered useless. The world watched in disbelief as the alien fleet stood unfazed, hovering above their cities, their ships pulsing with power. The message was clear: humanity had no weapons that could match their might. As the battle seemed to reach a deadlock, Earth's leaders were forced to reconsider their approach. The fight was not going the way they had hoped, but that didn't mean they were willing to give up. Earth's people rallied in ways they had never done before, scientists, engineers, and ordinary civilians working together to create something new, something that might stand a chance against the alien force. But there was still a glimmer of hope in the face of despair. As the military regrouped, a breakthrough came from an unexpected place: Earth's tech community. The brightest minds from every corner of the globe, inspired by the threat, put their knowledge together in a race against time. In a secret underground laboratory, a team of engineers and scientists, working tirelessly around the clock, developed an advanced electromagnetic pulse weapon, a last hope to disable the alien ships. It was their most desperate and final strike. And so, as Earth's military prepared for what could be their last stand, a plan was put in motion. The electromagnetic pulse would be deployed against the alien fleet's main command ship. If it worked, it could disable the entire fleet, leaving the invaders vulnerable for the first time. If it failed, well, Earth would have no chance left. The clock was ticking. Earth had just one shot. At that moment, the entire planet held its breath. The pulse weapon, armed and ready, was transported into the heart of Earth's most fortified Military base. The plan was simple, but the risk was unimaginable. They had no backup, no reinforcements, and no time. It would be all or nothing. As the pulse weapon was fired, a silence fell over the world. The energy from the weapon surged into the sky, racing toward the alien ships. The moment felt eternal. Nothing in the universe moved, save for the crackling energy of humanity's final hope. Then, a blinding flash of light. The weapon hit the alien ship's shields with a thunderous force. The world held its breath as the energy surged, pushing against the invaders' defenses. For a moment, it seemed as if time had stopped, and then, just when all hope seemed lost, something incredible happened. The alien ship's shields flickered, weakened, and then they failed. The first victory for Earth. The pulse weapon had worked. The alien ship's defenses had been neutralized, but this was only the beginning. The fight was far from over. The dark truth. Victory, however small, was fleeting. Earth's forces, emboldened by their success with the electromagnetic pulse, prepared for a counterattack, but the enemy had already adjusted. What they had learned in the first battle was this: the alien forces were playing a different game entirely. While humanity clung to the hope that this fight was about technology and strategy, the truth was far more disturbing. As the days passed, more ships from the alien fleet began landing in strategic positions across Earth. The world's military forces were mobilized, but they were still struggling to understand the true purpose behind the invasion. Why had the aliens chosen Earth? What was it they wanted? These questions haunted the minds of Earth's leaders, but they were still far from the answers. It wasn't until a mysterious transmission was intercepted that the full scope of the threat was revealed. It came not from the alien fleet, but from an unexpected source: a lone defector. An alien soldier, who had been captured during one of the early skirmishes, managed to communicate with Earth scientists. It was a desperate, last-ditch effort to escape the horrors of his own people. His voice, trembling with fear and uncertainty, was broadcasted across Earth. You don't understand the war. The war isn't about conquering you. At first, the message was incomprehensible. Humanity had expected the aliens to be conquerors, invaders coming to wipe out Earth's population. But the alien soldiers' words shattered that perception. The transmission continued. You are not the target. Earth is a resource, a key. You are an ancient people, but you don't know it yet. The war has been going on for centuries, and your world holds the answer: the enemy. They are looking for something in your DNA, something older than anything you can imagine. The scientists and military analysts listened in stunned silence. Earth, the peaceful planet that had always prided itself on being isolated from galactic affairs, was now the focal point of a war much larger than anyone had anticipated. The soldiers of Earth, brave but unaware, were merely pawns in a much darker game. They were fighting not for survival, but for something they didn't even know they possessed. The alien soldier's voice trembled as he spoke again. I don't know what it is they seek, but your people are special. You were created. You are a part of something much bigger than yourselves. You have the answer, but you are still blind to it. If they succeed in taking what they want from you, your world will be no more. As the transmission ended, Earth's top leaders gathered to process the information. The enormity of what they had just learned was almost too much to comprehend. The war was not just a random event, nor was it just about power. It was about something much older and more dangerous than Earth had ever known. The aliens had been searching for Earth for centuries, not because of its position in the galaxy, but because of something hidden within the very DNA of its people. The answer to a cosmic secret that could change the balance of the entire universe. What that answer was, no one could say, but the implications were terrifying. The enemy wasn't here to destroy Earth, they were here to extract something from the very essence of humanity itself. They needed what Earth possessed to gain unimaginable power. As the days passed, Earth's defenses were restructured. Scientists, led by Dr. Ethan Callaway, began researching this new, unsettling theory. Was there something in Earth's past, something hidden in the genetic makeup of its people, that the aliens wanted? Could the human race have been unknowingly created to be part of a much larger plan? It wasn't until they discovered ancient texts buried deep beneath the Earth that the truth began to take shape. These texts, from civilizations long forgotten, described a cosmic seed, a fragment of an ancient power that was said to have seeded life across the galaxy. Earth's inhabitants were unknowingly the descendants of this very seed. Their DNA carried the key to unlocking the power that the alien forces sought. The realization was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Humanity was not just a random civilization caught in a galactic war. They were the last piece of a puzzle that had been centuries in the making. Your people are not what they seem. You are a link in a chain that stretches back to the beginning of the galaxy, the alien soldier had said, and now Earth understood what he meant. But the question remained, what would the enemy do once they found the secret hidden in Earth's DNA? With this knowledge, Earth's leaders knew that their fate was no longer in their own hands. The war was not just a matter of survival. It was a fight for control of the very essence of life itself. The aliens had come for the power embedded in humanity's genes, and if they succeeded, the universe would never be the same. The stakes had risen beyond anything Earth could have imagined. This was no longer just a fight for survival. It was a battle for the future of existence itself. Humanity had to stop the invaders. But they now faced a question even more terrifying. Could they protect the very thing that made them human? The resistance gathered strength after the dark truth was revealed. Earth's once fragmented and struggling defenses began to coalesce into something stronger. The sheer weight of the discovery that Earth itself was not only the battleground, but the key to a universal mystery shook humanity to its core. But as dire as the situation was, a new resolve began to form. If humanity was the key to unlocking the galaxy's greatest secret, they would fight to protect it, no matter the cost. In every corner of the world, the people of Earth rallied together. Scientists, engineers, military strategists, and ordinary citizens all came to understand that their future, their very existence, hinged on their ability to fight back and preserve their genetic legacy. Governments, once divided by politics, now stood united under the banner of survival. The once complex geopolitical struggles that had plagued Earth's leaders were now set aside, for the enemy posed a threat far more dangerous than anything humanity had ever faced. The military was the first to reorganize. Their technology, although initially no match for the alien ships, had evolved rapidly in the last few weeks. Engineers had found ways to reverse engineer alien technology, adapting it to Earth's own devices. The electromagnetic pulse weapon had given them a glimmer of hope, but they needed more. Earth's finest minds, some of them having never worked together before, were now collaborating at a pace no one thought possible. A new secret alliance formed. The best military minds worked alongside tech experts to develop hybrid weapons capable of disabling the alien fleets. It was not enough to simply fight back. They needed to turn the tide of the war. The goal was clear: break through the alien defenses, find their vulnerabilities, and neutralize their most powerful assets. But with Earth's military infrastructure still reeling from the initial strike, they had to act quickly. Dr. Ethan Callaway, Earth's leading scientist, took charge of a critical new project. With the help of the resistance, a new kind of technology was born: the quantum disruptor. Based on the knowledge they had gained from the alien communications, it was designed to target and destabilize the core of the alien ship's energy systems. The device could cut through the seemingly impenetrable shields of the alien fleet. If they could deploy it in time, the plan was risky, to say the least. The quantum disruptor was still in its prototype stage, but it was humanity's best shot. And for the first time, they had something the aliens didn't: the element of surprise. If they could outwit the invaders, they might stand a chance. Meanwhile, in the streets, a different kind of resistance was taking shape. Ordinary citizens, once fearful and uncertain, began to organize themselves. Groups of civilians, trained in makeshift combat techniques, gathered in underground bunkers, city ruins, and hidden strongholds. These were not soldiers, but workers, teachers, and families, people who had never held weapons before. They didn't have the technology or the advanced weaponry, but they had something just as important: resolve. The media, once a symbol of fear, became a powerful tool for resistance. Civilians and military forces worked together to spread information, to rally the remaining untouched cities and rural areas, and to help coordinate attacks against the invaders. Earth's greatest weapon was not just its military might or technology, it was the united will of its people. The message was clear across the world: this was no longer just a battle for survival. It was a fight for the very essence of what it meant to be human. Every citizen, no matter how small their role, had become a part of the resistance. Across the globe, a network of civilians, soldiers, and scientists began to form into a cohesive force, working toward one common goal: to push back the enemy and protect the legacy of their people. But as Earth's forces began to grow stronger, a new threat emerged from the shadows: the aliens, who had watched Earth's resistance take shape, were not as passive as they had once been. While their military forces maintained an overwhelming presence in Earth's skies, their leaders were more cunning than expected. They had not simply come to conquer, they had come to manipulate. And as Earth's resistance began to grow in power, so did the alien forces' understanding of humanity's potential. In the heart of the alien fleet, a dark figure, the commander of the invading forces, watched the progress of Earth's resistance. With a cold, calculating gaze, he had known from the beginning that Earth's resistance would grow. He had known that their spirit, their unity, would be their greatest strength. But he had underestimated one thing: humanity's potential to fight for what they truly believed. And the commander stood before a holographic display of Earth's surface, watching the growing unrest in the cities and the scattered victories. A faint smirk formed on his face. Let them resist. It will make their defeat that much sweeter. He turned to his aides. Prepare the next phase, he said, his voice low and unwavering. Humanity will be broken whether they know it or not. The commander knew that Earth's genetic secrets were only the beginning. The war they fought now wasn't just a battle for power. It was a battle for control of the deepest forces of existence. And the universe would bend to those who held the keys. The coming days would test the limits of humanity's resolve. Earth was finally united. But it was not yet strong enough to face the full wrath of the alien invaders. In the face of their greatest challenge, Earth would discover that the cost of survival was greater than they had ever imagined. The final confrontation, the days that followed, were tense, filled with a sense of urgency. Earth's resistance had grown stronger, and for the first time in the war, there was a glimmer of hope. The quantum disruptor had been successfully deployed in a few key battles, proving that humanity was capable of striking back. Yet, despite their progress, the alien forces were still overwhelming. The war wasn't over. Earth wasn't safe. The resistance, though, had learned to fight smarter, not just harder. They had tapped into something far more powerful than their weapons. They had tapped into their belief. Humanity's unity, once divided by nations and ideologies, had become a singular force, unyielding in its will to survive. The bond between Earth's people, their shared purpose, was now their greatest strength. But the enemy was not blind to this newfound power. In the heart of the alien fleet, the commander's patience was running thin. The humans were proving far more resilient than expected. Their hope was infectious, their resolve unshakable. But he was not one to be outdone. As Earth's resistance gathered its forces, preparing for the final push to reclaim their planet, the alien forces unveiled their ultimate weapon, the vortex beam, a catastrophic device capable of altering the very fabric of time and space. The commander had intended to use it as a last resort, but now, seeing humanity's resurgence, he felt it was the only way to ensure victory. The vortex beam was designed to tear apart entire cities in an instant, obliterating anything it touched, leaving nothing but ashes and echoes behind. When Earth's military intercepted the alien transmissions detailing the vortex beam, the gravity of the situation became clear. This wasn't just a battle for survival, it was a battle for existence itself. If the vortex beam was fired, it could tear Earth apart, collapsing the very foundation of their world. In response, Dr. Ethan Calloway led a daring mission to infiltrate the alien fleet and sabotage the vortex beam before it could be deployed. A small group of elite resistance fighters, armed with the best technology humanity had to offer, snuck aboard the flagship of the alien fleet, determined to take out the vortex beam and prevent the unthinkable from happening. As the group made their way through the alien ship, they encountered resistance like never before, alien forces that seemed to anticipate their every move. It was clear that the commander was prepared for this. He had been watching Earth's resistance closely and knew that this final act of defiance would come. But Earth's resistance had learned to adapt, to outsmart their foes. The mission wasn't just about brute strength, it was about strategy, stealth, and determination. In the heart of the flagship, the team reached the chamber housing the vortex beam. The room was massive, its walls lined with alien technology. The vortex beam stood in the center, a swirling mass of energy, pulsing with raw power. They had to destroy it before it activated, or the future of Earth and possibly the galaxy would be lost. But the moment they began their operation, a piercing voice echoed through the ship's comm system. The commander's voice, cold and terrifying, filled the chamber. You're too late, your planet will burn, and you will die knowing that your resistance was nothing but a fleeting illusion. The commander's words sent chills down their spines, but there was no turning back. Now, they had come too far to fail. As the team worked furiously to disable the vortex beam, the alien soldiers closed in. The air was thick with tension. The hum of the alien technology was deafening, and the gravity of their mission weighed heavily on every heart. The final seconds were a blur of motion, fighting off alien soldiers, hacking into the systems and defusing the power core. With only moments to spare, the team managed to overload the core, sending a shockwave of energy through the alien ship. The vortex beam went silent. The team, battered but alive, watched as the alien ship began to crumble, its systems failing. One by one, they had succeeded, but the battle was not over yet. The commander, enraged by the sabotage, unleashed his full fury, ordering the remaining alien fleet to attack. Earth's final stand had begun. Back on Earth, the skies darkened as the alien fleet launched its final assault. The resistance forces, those who had not yet been deployed to infiltrate the flagship, rallied for one last battle. They were outnumbered, But they had something the aliens would never understand: the will to protect their home. The final confrontation on Earth was nothing short of apocalyptic. Cities were laid to waste as the two forces collided in a storm of fire and steel. But humanity fought with every ounce of strength they had. This was not just a fight for survival, it was a fight for the future of every living being on Earth, for the legacy of the human race, for the freedom of all who had called Earth home. The commander, now fully aware of how far humanity would go to protect what they loved, watched in fury as the tide of battle began to turn. The vortex beam had been neutralized, and Earth's military was finally gaining ground, but the alien fleet was still massive, and the fight was far from over. In the midst of the chaos, General Claire Hastings, leading the final charge, looked out over the battlefield. Her heart pounded, not just from the weight of the war but from the overwhelming belief that Earth had something the aliens could never have: a connection to each other, to their world, and to the future they were fighting for. Then, in a final, breathtaking moment, the skies cracked open as Earth's remaining fighters, armed with the last of their powerful weapons, launched a final assault against the alien mothership. The battle was decided in those final moments.